during this time of COVID-19 pandemic, all the more we need to rely on technology. Without these means, we would have not been able to continue to communicate the good news of our Lord. But my dear brothers and sisters, while the tools of communication are very important, more importantly, we must examine the intent and the content of communication. Because tools are simply tools. We can use the tools to build out humanity, or we can use the same tools to destroy humanity. And that is the reason why we need to be very careful, because there are many worldly people around who are using the tools of communication to promote worldly values so that they can have better business or for their own personal interest, their own personal ambition. Information technology has been used not only to destroy individuals, to slander the reputation of people, but even to destroy nations by spreading all these fake news and distorted news. How we manage these tools will ensure the progress of humanity or the destruction. For us as Catholics, therefore, we must be alert. Very often we have a lot of fake news, distorted news. So much so that many of us, in our innocence, in our naivety, we tend to forward all this information that are unverified. And not only distorted and fake news, what we see in the media, they like to sensationalize all the bad things that people do, the scandals. A lot of juicy news, yes, gossip news, in order to destroy reputation of people. These kind of news are meant to sensationalize, to bring in readers. So my dear brothers and sisters, how can we ensure that the intent and content is according to what the Lord demands of every person involved in the work of communication? It is beautifully, so beautifully summed up in one word: glorify the Lord. Glorify. Why must we glorify God? Is He insecure? Is He egoistic? Only when we glorify God, then we can share in His glory. That is why God asks us to glorify Him. Because to glorify Him means to imitate His life, to imitate His love, to live the way God shows us and demonstrate His love for us. So in glorifying God, actually, we glorify ourselves. And that is why Jesus asked the Father, glorify me now. Because His whole life, His passion, death, and resurrection, all that He said and did, if the Father did not glorify Jesus, raise Him from the dead, then His message would not be credible. And that is why we believe that Jesus is the Lord. And so, my dear brothers and sisters, it's so important for us, therefore, if we want to communicate the good news today, we must glorify God. Be careful. The world does not glorify God. The world glorifies humanity. The world glorifies evil. The world glorifies immorality. This is the trouble. This is what is destroying the world. Because the world says we don't need God. We can solve everything. We have technology. The world glorifies human knowledge as if they have the answers to everything. And that is a lie. Look at this COVID-19 pandemic. Whether you are poor, whether you are rich, whether you are powerful, the COVID-19 does not recognize ranks, positions, honor. And the world is still trying to understand this COVID-19. The first goal of communication is to inform. Inform the truth so that the truth can set the world free. Not fake news, not distorted news, the truth. If you don't have the truth, you will only destroy people's lives. So we first must seek the truth sincerely from our heart, not prejudice against certain group of people. Secondly, communication is not just to inform. Communication is meant to form. What is the whole purpose of life? If you live for yourself, there is no meaning in life. You need to live for others. You need to be a life giver. We need to help people to live the fullness of life. We need to give hope. We need to give encouragement. We need to give strength, consolation. So are you a life giver? So every communication requires a communicating, helping people, forming them to be life givers. And thirdly, the purpose of communication is not just simply to form, to edify. Look at the life of Jesus. His whole life was to edify us by his life of compassion, his love, reaching out to the sinners, to the marginalized, to the sick, to the poor, forgiving people, accepting tax collectors, prostitutes, sinners. That is the way we edify God. And so every form of communication must edify. Ask yourself, if you are a communicator of the good news, do you inform, do you form, and do you edify by what you say, what you write? If you don't have these three criteria, you are not communicating the good news. Then you are communicating bad news. So let us be good news to others by being communicators in our words, in our actions, and most of all, in using the different platforms to announce the good news of our Lord Jesus Christ.